Now, the next phase of your research, you're gonna eventually need to pick something. You don't want to spend one thing I would caution, which is something I was guilty of, and it's easy to fall into this habit. So track it for yourself. How long are you spending learning, and how long are you spending putting in effort towards your store? Like today, I spent the whole day learning, but I'm not like that every day. But some days I learn a lot, and it's helpful because it helps me strategize. But, I've gone weeks or multiple days over multiple weeks where I felt like I was doing a lot of work because I was learning and learning and learning, or maybe even like drafting, but never actually posting anything up, never actually testing. You want to get to a phase eventually where you're testing. And so, once you've kind of done the research and you can kind of figure out, to the best of your ability, what are some categories, kind of keep narrowing it down. You don't have to narrow it down too much. Like I was saying, say if we stick with this web design niche, you can still niche down and pick banners or user interface or some kind of templates or even copywriting, SEO, copywriting, you can write blog posts for people, formatted blog posts, maybe even a template for blogging or something along those lines. You can write something that would help people for their websites and something they can buy from you. Maybe you have a store that sells all of those. Maybe you have a store that sells a variation of one of those. Variations of one of those. Maybe you have one simple product only. Maybe it's not a digital product like that. Maybe it's a print-on-demand type of product, like something for Super Bowl isn't for a while. I think the finals for the WNBA should be coming up. I don't know how many people follow that, but that might be something important. This month of September, we're coming out of summer, we're entering fall. I think, am I wrong? Is it gonna be Rosh Hashanah? Like, I feel like there's some religious days coming up soon. There's a whole bunch of holidays coming up within months. So, for people who can't even think of anything, that might be a good place to start, because at least it gets your feet wet with something, that might pique somebody's attention. And you can still learn and you might still get the traffic. But the issue is, if it is seasonal or very temporary, you might get sales, but then you still have to remember you might not be able to sell Ramadan posters all year long. You know what I mean? You might not be able to sell certain stuff all the time. You might have to wait. And so, I'm not saying that people need to be hurt or bothered, but see what's out there, see what you're able to do. Now, one thing I need to mention, when you do print on demand, that's something like, a coffee mug with a picture on it, a t-shirt with a picture on it, some type of physical product that you're not making homemade yourself. You're basically going into a company like Printify or something like that for free. You're getting maybe you're making book covers and you get some cool designs for some book covers and you're selling book covers for, I don't know if people even put book covers on their textbooks anymore, or like cloth covers for your laptop, or like some kind of thing for your phone or whatever. And you're just basically putting the design on like a white product, and then it basically ships that way. Now, the issues that people have with Printify, you can't really customize your brand. They don't have a lot of options with the shipping boxing kind of thing. Like, people say it's kind of like bland. And some people really like fancy. Like, I like it when I buy something. I haven't bought something in a really long time, but I like it when I buy something and like the box is cool, and you like open it and you're like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I like the texture of the box, and like when you open it and everything's like laid out really cool and unique looking. So, that's just one method that you can try and use. And print by demand, you might need money for that. So say, for example, in the case of using Etsy or Shopify, somebody buys from your store, right? The money goes into an account that you may or may not have access to it. It depends which platform you're using. You may or may not have access to that money right away. I think Etsy pays out after the week. I don't know about Shopify. I've had a lot of experiences where Shopify just holds my money, and so I have no money, from them sometimes. And so, you might get PayPal holds for like 180 days or something ridiculous. So things like this are things you need to know. It's like, with Etsy, you don't have to deal with that. With Shopify, you might. With, there's a little risk for some things. I think Etsy is very cheap. Like, not cheap quality, but cheap as in a cheap entry cost. Etsy costs you 20 cents, I think, per posting. So you can post 5 things for $1, 10 things for $2, 15 things for $3. That's not a lot of money at all. So say you're posting 15, let's just say you're posting 15 items, maybe a lot of different variations on a couple items. Maybe you really only have 5 items and each of them has 3 variations. Or you only have 3 items and each of them has 5 variations. Color, size, whatever that may be. And then if you're taking that and you're trying to deal with the variations and deal with the amount of products that you have posted, I think there's I don't know what the percentage, I think it's is it a 5% fee for whatever the cost of your item is that you're selling. So say if you're selling an item for $20, each item you sell, they're going to take out a $3 fee, because that's wait, I did that math wrong. If it's 5%, that's half of $2, so that's $1. So they would take $1 out per sale. So the posting costs you 20 cents. There's I think there's another 20 cents for something else that you pay, and then a 5% fee. So for a $20 product, you're getting paid in Shopify, minus $1.40 per item, which isn't that bad. You're making over $18 per sale if everything costs $20. Versus other sites like Shopify, you're gonna make, you might make a lot of money, you might not, but after that first 3 months, if you get the first 3 months, that's $1 each, if you're paying monthly for Shopify, you're paying at least $39 a month. If you have a domain with hosting, you're paying however much your domain costs plus the price of hosting. So let's say standard would be maybe like $12.99 a year. So add all that up. I mean, if you're paying $39 for 9 months, and then you're gonna add, let's call it $12.99. You're paying $363.99 per year, just for the first year, and then you have to add an extra 39 times 3 because you got those first 3 months free initially. So for the second year around, you're gonna add an extra $117. That's like nearly $400 you're paying just to run your store. That's nearly $400 a year you're paying to run your store. You're not paying that much with Etsy, And so when you think about that, first year is like 360 something to run your store. Second year is probably going to be closer to 400 to run your store. Or you can get the yearly package, which I don't know how much that is, but that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes you got to ask yourself, if you really want to just be testing this out and you've never done drop shipping, you've never opened a store, do you really want to invest like $300, $400 something all at once? And that's before you even think about how are you advertising your products on Shopify, because Shopify isn't a search engine, so people aren't going on to Shopify and searching for stores. People don't use Shopify like that. You make your own store, but you're not searching for other people's stores. You're not searching for products based on a certain title or a certain category or a certain niche. You're not searching for specific products or specific services. You're making those products or services, and you have to have a way to promote it. You can't just have a cold store opened, and unless it's something that just naturally ranks by itself, I mean, it can happen, it can happen, but unless it's something that naturally ranks all by itself, it's going to be really hard to rank a store. With no social media backing, with no other kind of like advertisement, or you're not, maybe you have a following somewhere online or somewhere in person, in real life, where you have a following. Maybe you host a yoga class at the beach once a month, and you have a store that sells products, and you have like a business card with your website on it, and you give it out to your students or to the looky-loos, you give it out. You have business cards or flyers that people can come pick up for free, and that's how you're getting the majority of your traffic, is from in-person services that you're actually providing in public, and people walking by and like taking your material for themselves or for someone else who might be interested, and then they go to your website from there. But if you don't have something already set up for Shopify, I mean, you've got to figure out the social media, engagement for that. I mean, you can run ads on social media without actually having like an actual following, but you've got to have a product that has appeal to it, like TikTok preferably, but you can do it other ways. But TikTok for beginners is, if you pick the right product with the right wow factor, you'll probably look out a little bit better that way versus like other types of products. Because if you think of it, if somebody can get it on Amazon faster, then you can give it to them, or cheaper somewhere else where they can just go down the street and go get it and not have to wait 5 days for shipping, for it to get to their house, or 3 or 4 days. Like, when you think of it nowadays, waiting 3 or 4 days for something to get shipped to you is pretty long. Like, Amazon has kind of set the bar, and people usually want things now. Unless it's really that unique, then they'll be willing to wait if they really can't find it anywhere else. But that's a risk to take, because most products, there's somewhere else that people can get it. And waiting for AliExpress for 2 weeks or more, that's usually not the best option. that can kind of get in the way of your conversions. And so these are just brainstorming things you want to kind of think about before you start putting your products out there. And then we'll start going from there and talking in more detail. But you really want to figure out, what type of product are you going to sell? What's easy for you? What's easy enough for you to start if you've never done this before? And then what's not only easiest, but what's interesting enough. Like, I've picked niches to try to sell stuff in, and if it's just like selling for the sake of selling, it's kind of hard to get into it when I don't really care for the product, It can be kind of hard for me, but, sometimes you can just, adult up and just be like, this is for the money. But it's kind of hard for some of us to really just go there like that and be like, well, if I'm going to do something for the money, I might as well just drive Uber Eats, right? But yeah, guys, like, that's kind of the brainstorming phase that goes into, the niche, the, actual product that you choose, the research behind it, behind your choice, the research behind, kind of a more specific choice, if there's anything that you're really trying to kind of, get more detailed and niche down on. You want to know what other people are doing too, and you want to know how saturated the market is, and you want to know what they're doing and what you can add that's more beneficial to customers, that's maybe something they missed. But yeah, with that, thanks for listening. You know, man.